Rory Calhoun was born Francis Timothy McCown on August 8, 1922 in Los Angeles, California, into circumstances that were anything but stable. His father died before Rory reached his first birthday, leaving his mother to navigate grief and financial uncertainty on her own. She later remarried, and young Francis took his stepfather's surname, growing up in a household that, by many accounts, was strict and at times harsh. The instability of those early years left its mark. Feeling disconnected and restless, he struggled in school and began drifting toward delinquency. Petty theft and brushes with the law became part of his adolescence, not as glamorous rebellion, but as signs of a young man searching for identity and control. These turbulent beginnings shaped the resilience and guarded independence that would later define both his public image and private life. Trouble, consequences, and a turning point. As a teenager, Calhoun's troubles escalated. He spent time in reform school and later served a prison sentence for offenses connected to theft and vehicle charges. Those years could have sealed his fate, but instead, they became a turning point. While incarcerated, he reportedly began reading extensively and reflecting on the direction of his life. When he was released just before his 21st birthday, he carried both the stigma of a criminal record and a determination to rewrite his story. He worked a string of physically demanding jobs: logger, miner, mechanic, truck driver, embracing the kind of rugged labor that would later mirror his on-screen persona. These experiences hardened him, but they also gave him discipline. He was no longer just running from his past. He was quietly building a future. A chance encounter with Hollywood Calhoun's entry into Hollywood came through a stroke of luck that felt almost cinematic. While riding horseback in a Los Angeles park, he caught the attention of actor Alan Ladd, who reportedly saw star potential in the tall, striking young man. Soon after, agent Sue Carroll arranged a screen test at 20th Century Fox. His early roles in the mid-1940s were small and sometimes uncredited, but they provided invaluable exposure. Under the guidance of talent representatives, he adopted the stage name Rory Calhoun, a name that sounded strong, memorable, and distinctly Western. Although his past resurfaced briefly when old legal troubles became public, he refused to let them derail his progress. By the late 1940s, he was earning credited roles and steadily establishing himself as a dependable presence in adventure films and westerns. Becoming a Western icon, the 1950s proved to be Calhoun's defining decade. With his square jaw, confident stride, and natural ease on horseback, he became synonymous with the American Western hero. Films like River of No Return, The Yellow Tomahawk, and The Hired Gun reinforced his image as a rugged leading man. He balanced hero roles with occasional darker characters, showing range beyond the typical cowboy archetype. Audiences admired his physical presence, but there was also vulnerability beneath the bravado. He seemed to understand the lonely, morally conflicted men he portrayed. Even when westerns began to wane in popularity, Calhoun adapted, appearing in international productions and later cult classics such as Night of the Lepus and Motel Hell. His career spanned decades, demonstrating a resilience that mirrored his personal journey from troubled youth to established star. A personal life under scrutiny off-screen, Calhoun's life was rarely simple. He married actress Lita Barron in 1948, and together they had 3 daughters. For more than 20 years, they appeared to embody Hollywood stability. Yet the marriage ended in 1970 amid highly publicized allegations of infidelity. Calhoun's candid, sometimes flippant remarks about his romantic history only fueled media fascination. Later marriages brought both reconciliation and renewed strain, reflecting a man who valued connection but struggled with consistency. He also fathered a daughter outside of marriage, further complicating his family narrative. While tabloids focused on scandal, those close to him described a man who loved his children deeply, but often wrestled with the expectations placed upon him. His romantic life was layered, marked by passion, impulsiveness, and moments of genuine devotion. Rumors, memoirs, and Hollywood myths. In later years, stories circulated about an alleged unpublished memoir in which Calhoun supposedly described secret relationships with prominent male actors and expressed bitterness about those experiences. It is important to approach such claims carefully. No verified published memoir confirms these accounts, And much of what has been repeated over time comes from rumor, secondhand anecdotes, or speculative biographies. Hollywood's golden era was rife with gossip, particularly concerning actors whose personal lives did not fit neatly into the public image studios promoted. Sensational narratives often overshadowed nuance. While Calhoun did acknowledge the pressures of maintaining a certain persona in mid-century Hollywood, credible historical records do not substantiate claims that he publicly named or attacked specific individuals in the way rumors suggest. The persistence of these stories says as much about Hollywood mythmaking as it does about Calhoun himself, the pressure of image in classic Hollywood. To understand why such rumors gain traction, one must consider the era in which Calhoun and his contemporaries worked. Studio contracts were strict, and public image was carefully engineered. Any deviation from the approved narrative, whether related to relationships, politics, or personal habits, could jeopardize a career. Actors were often encouraged or pressured to present a version of themselves that aligned with audience expectations. This climate fostered secrecy, guarded friendships, and at times deep loneliness. Whether heterosexual or gay, many performers navigated private complexities behind a polished facade. If Calhoun experienced tension with peers, it likely stemmed from professional rivalries, personal misunderstandings, or the broader strain of maintaining celebrity identity. Reducing those dynamics to simplistic stories of hatred or betrayal ignores the complicated reality of surviving within Hollywood's rigid system. Later years and reflection. By the 1990s, Calhoun had largely stepped away from acting. Health challenges, including emphysema and diabetes, gradually limited his activities. He spent more time with family and out of the spotlight, reflecting on a life that had swung between turbulence and triumph. Friends described him as charismatic and sometimes stubborn, but also thoughtful in quieter moments. He seemed aware that his journey, from reform school to film sets, from scandal to steady work, was anything but ordinary. There was a sense that he had made peace with many chapters of his past. He rarely engaged publicly with lingering rumors, perhaps understanding that mystery had always been part of his legend. His final film appearance in Pure Country felt like a fitting farewell, placing him once more in a rural setting that echoed his Western roots. The end of an era. Rory Calhoun passed away on April 28, 1999, at age 76, due to complications related to chronic illness. With his death, Hollywood lost one of its enduring Western figures. Though younger generations may recognize his name less readily, fans of classic cinema continue to appreciate his body of work, which includes more than 80 film and television credits. His life story remains compelling not because of unverified controversies, but because of its arc of transformation. He was a man who stumbled early, corrected course, and built a career through persistence. The myths, rumors, and whispered stories that followed him reflect Hollywood's fascination with drama as much as any truth about his character. In the end, Calhoun's legacy rests not on gossip but on resilience, reinvention, and the lasting image of a cowboy riding confidently across the silver screen.